ICE raid. This is in South Texas. Construction workers seen running across busy highways, hiding up in cherry pickers. You can see on this video here, apparently trying to get away from immigration enforcement workers who surrounded that Laredo site back on Thursday.
A calm construction site in Laredo suddenly erupted into mayhem. Black SUVs skidded in, doors flung wide, and heavily armed SWAT units poured out like they were storming a terrorist cell. Some workers froze in place, while others sprinted, dodging across highways, climbing cherry pickers, anything to escape. Within minutes, IDs were inspected, men were cuffed, and trucks filled with detainees. But this wasn't a cartel bust. So why did it look like one? By the end of the story, you may never view these raids the same way again. That morning, June 13th, workers clocked in expecting an ordinary shift, not realizing they wouldn't return home. Out of nowhere, unmarked SUVs and tactical vehicles descended. Homeland Security Investigations, ICE, and local partners launched a sweeping one-day crackdown across job sites and businesses. Order collapsed instantly. Shouts echoed, tools clattered, and panic erupted. Some men dashed toward Interstate 35, weaving between speeding traffic in a desperate bid to vanish.
And we are getting new video out of South Texas this morning showing an ICE raid that put a lot of people behind bars. Witnesses say workers went running after ICE agents, and they showed up at their construction site in Laredo yesterday. Well, ICE says they arrested 24 undocumented immigrants, and they are processing them this morning.
By the time the sweep ended, somewhere between 24 and 31 workers had been arrested. Agents verified IDs and cross-checked employment paperwork, isolating anyone tied to immigration violations. ICE later confirmed that those detained included nationals of Mexico, Honduras, and El Salvador, all living in the U.S. without legal authorization. Officials also claimed several had prior convictions, ranging from aggravated assault to probation breaches. Every one of them was placed in ICE custody, awaiting deportation proceedings. The raid left the site shaken. Some accused agents of harassment, insisting they were simply laborers, while others stood motionless.
Others at that site said it was not okay.
We heard they weren't going to bother people. That's all lies. They continue to bother people. They bother people who are only here working.
And for Laredo, that was only the beginning. Hundreds of miles away in Austin, chaos flared again weeks later. A DPS trooper pulled over a driver whose ID didn't match state records. It should have been routine, but it wasn't. The officer called in Homeland Security Investigations, and within minutes, ICE and ATF agents masked and armed surrounded the worksite. Footage shows 5 men arrested in broad daylight as stunned workers looked on. By noon, the site reopened, but more than half the crew had already left, too shaken to pick up another hammer. Austin wasn't the first, and it wouldn't be the last. Just days earlier, on June 4th, ICE with DPS and U.S. Marshals raided construction sites in Brownsville and South Padre Island, arresting 25 workers, mostly from Mexico and Honduras.
Tonight, President Trump's immigration crackdown ramping up.
Construction workers were working on this building behind me when law enforcement came from all directions, descending on them, rounding them up in the hundreds.
Bigger question: why were SWAT-style teams storming construction sites at all? Governor Greg Abbott has run tactical strike squads for years under his border crackdown, Operation Lone Star. Officially, it's about border security. In practice, it allows Texas police to team up directly with federal immigration agencies, turning ordinary job sites into raid zones. These teams don't walk in quietly. They hit hard, move fast, and sweep up more people than ever before. On January 28, 2025, Abbott expanded the program statewide, authorizing DPS to deploy tactical squads beyond the border. Their mission: track and deport thousands of undocumented migrants with criminal warrants. And this isn't small-scale policing. Raids come with DPS troopers, special agents, Texas Rangers, and helicopters circling above. Fed with counter-terror intel, they move with precision. Their target list? Roughly 5,400 individuals, flagged for offenses from violent assault to drug trafficking. data constantly shared between state and federal agencies. But mistakes happen. Take May Galvin Sanchez, who had lived in the U.S. for over 2 decades. He was deported in less than 24 hours with no hearing. Border Patrol later admitted the error, let him back, but strapped him with an ankle monitor and dragged him through immigration court. Families like his aren't alone. Lawsuits accuse ICE of detaining asylum seekers or people already following legal processes. Another example, Kevin Saldana Ramirez, who arrived at 14 and worked since age 16 to support his visually impaired mother. He had a legal work visa under the Special Immigrant Juvenile Program. Yet ICE suspected him of gang ties without proof and labeled him undocumented. And then came the case that blew up online.
He was telling them, I'm here legally. I'm trying to call my lawyer right now to find out what's going on. Why don't you talk to my lawyer? Here's my phone. He was trying to get them to do that, and they're saying, we don't need to talk to your lawyer. You need to come with us.
Noé Guerrero, a longtime resident, taxpayer, and construction worker, had his life derailed over a missing document. While sitting in his truck, ICE agents approached calmly. He pleaded, offered his phone, asked them to call his lawyer. They refused. Hours later, the footage went viral, sparking street protests. Dozens demanded his release. His boss of 10 years called the arrest outrageous, insisting Guerrero was hardworking and trustworthy.
And he pays his taxes every year. You know, he's bought a house, he has credit. So he's here the right way.
Even after charges were dropped, Guerrero stayed in ICE custody, raising the question, how many errors before someone stops this? The fallout spread beyond one video. Construction sites across South Texas felt abandoned. Half-finished scaffolds rusted, plywood warped in the sun, nails scattered on projects frozen in time. Jobs expected to take 4 months dragged endlessly. Costs ballooned. Contractors owed more on loans, and homeowners bled money. Julio Carranza, a seasoned builder, said raids weren't just removing workers. They were tearing away stability.
Julio Carranza, owner of CJE Construction, says there is a labor shortage due to deportations and fear, which result in higher costs for customers.
It's causing the homeowners that are getting construction loans for them to pay more interest because it's taking longer, right? If you were going to be building a house in 4 months, well, who knows how long it's going to take if you're paused or you can't start construction.
The evidence was plain. A local resident pointed at an unfinished apartment block. Its entire crew had vanished overnight after whispers of another ICE raid. The skeletal frame of beams and bricks sat swallowed by weeds.
A local resident spoke about the negative impact he has seen in his community following the Trump administration's deportations.
Just here, not too far away, there are some apartments that were being built, but when the raid started, they left everything unfinished. We depend a lot on the labor the immigrants do for us.
For business owners like Oscar Elizondo, who oversees condo construction, the logic behind the crackdowns made no sense.
On the other hand, Oscar Elizondo, owner of Sondo Constructions, hopes that there is a clear solution to the labor shortage.
I don't come in agreement with them, pulling people off that are actually working and wanting to work and wanting to pay to do whatever they need to do to make this right. And I wish that, they would come up with some kind of policy to help those that do want to be here and do want to work and do want to pay taxes.